herbicide called Pilex. It has the active ingredient tropramazone in it. It is considered the best midsummer weed control product for cool season grasses and even in centipede for the summer. Problem is, it's almost $400 depending on where you buy it. There again, it has the active ingredient tropramazone. However, for homeowners, I've been digging and digging and digging, trying to find an alternative to quinaclorac. Talk a little bit about more of that in the video, but I found it for less than 20 bucks. So we're going to talk about that, what it controls, how to apply it, and how it can work for you, particularly those of you who have put out a pre-emergent herbicide, you're getting some breakthrough, and how to get things cleaned up in your yard. So let's get started. Pilex and my personal experience with it. I actually used it on golf course putting greens and surrounds. I had some Dallisgrass. Dallisgrass is getting to be a much bigger problem than what it was. I've been doing this for 35 years, and when I first started, it wasn't that big a deal, but it's getting much worse. What that is, climate change or whatever it is, I have no idea, but Dallisgrass is definitely becoming more of a problem. Dallisgrass looks like this. It usually grows higher than your existing grass, has a very predominant midrib, and is just some nasty stuff that grows up in your grass. And it is also a perennial weed, by the way. Why am I stressing that? Because your pre-emergent herbicide won't control it. So that's why it's such a problem. And that's why this is kind of a big deal. I did have a video on using a sponge method and what you could do and now I've found a tropramazone in a reasonable price. Get more of that here in a second. But what you could do with Dallisgrass, even nutsedge, and some of you guys with Poa trivialis, because it grows higher than the grass, you can actually take a sponge, and I'm demonstrating here, and you can actually put glyphosate on that sponge and just wipe the leaf blade. Don't hit your existing grass. But the nice thing about what I'm going to tell you about is this is a herbicide that will control that, and you have a less problem maybe hitting that grass, that desirable grass, and you can actually go out with the tropramazone product. So anyway, I digress. So I've used it around golf course putting greens. I've used it on putting greens for goosegrass, because majority of herbicides will not control goosegrass. This is the go-to on goosegrass. This is what goosegrass looks like. The best way I can tell you about goosegrass is I always think of goosegrass as you think of a goose's foot and it's flat. Goosegrass, it comes out from the center of its crown in the middle where the meristematic tissue is. It goes out and it stays flat. So it looks like a goose foot. So that's how I always remembered it when I was tested in college on what is this weed. Anyway, so it will control goosegrass. Majority of your grassy weeds that you have in your yard, midsummer, it will do a very good job of. It will control crabgrass beyond the 2-tiller stage. Now, why is that relevant? Quinaclorac is another herbicide, and that is in many products. It's in the Spectracide Weed Stop. It's in any type of quinaclorac. Drive is another one that has quinaclorac in it. It is pretty much the go-to during the summer for grassy weed control. The problem is it does not do very well with crabgrass. One, doesn't do anything on goosegrass, which you can have, and generally if you have crabgrass, you generally do have goosegrass. Doesn't really help you on Dallisgrass at all. And when the crabgrass gets above the 2-tiller stage, which is basically this, okay, the tillers are what comes out from the meristematic tissue in 1-tiller, 2-tiller, and it will do fine, quinaclorac, on old crabgrass and young crabgrass. Between that 2- and 4-tiller stage, it really won't do much on crabgrass. So that's why this is such a big deal of being able to find this formulation that you can go out when you get a little breakthrough, particularly those of you that have put out a pre-emergent herbicide, generally around the edges of your, and I'll give you a little heads up of what's going on. Roads, sidewalk. What happens with a lot of pre-emergent is it breaks down with biological activity. So if you're seeing some breakthrough, you're probably seeing it around the edges of your driveway, maybe some rocks in your yard, or maybe the road itself. And when those soil temperatures are higher, and what it will do, the biological activity doubles every 10 degrees. So when you put out your pre-emergent and you're seeing this breakthrough along the side of your driveway, kind of like this, that's why, because it's broken down that herbicide because of the warm temperatures. So it's not anything you did, it's just the nature of it. And this is where, because it's a spot treatment, that comes very handy because you don't have to do your whole yard. Now, if I hadn't said it already, you cannot technically, if you were to take Pilex and do a broadcast application, it's not labeled for a broadcast application on residential lawns. It's not. It's what the label says. BASF says this in their videos. And I'll leave a couple videos to this. If you want to know more about it, I try to leave some works cited down in all of my videos. But you can't do a broadcast application. That's the other thing why you don't want to go out and buy a $400 bottle of Pylex, which will last you probably 10 years. When I went out on putting greens, believe it or not, because you need to use low label rates on putting greens with this for goosegrass, I put it out at 0.08 ounces per 1,000 square feet, which was mind-blowing to me. I did that, I think when it first came out about 10 years ago is when I used it. I think it was on a putting green. So anyway, it goes out at an extremely low label rate. So if you buy this $400 bottle, it will probably go bad before you use all of it. In fact, I'm almost certain, unless you're treating 500 acres of home lawn or whatever. So that's the other reason why you really don't want to fool with this. So anyway, as far as the formulation, I'll be right back. It basically comes in this Roundup. Now, I am not crazy about these ready-made spray containers. One, they have a tendency to break. They're cheaply made. This one's actually not bad. Two, when it gets down to the bottom, I'm questioning when I do get down to the bottom of this, how well is it going to be, or how much of the residue is going to be in the bottom of it? Because what you should do on your containers, you should actually triple rinse them and then take that rinsate and actually apply it to an area that is labeled for the product. And this is one thing about having pesticides. That's why I don't make recommendations on the channel, and I'm not sitting here telling you to go out and buy a $400 bottle of Pylex. You're probably going to throw half of it away because it's going to go bad and now it's in a landfill. So anyway, I'll get off my horse. So, or stand. Anyway, but that's why I'm not too crazy about these. But this is the only formulation really that I've seen. It's less than $20, which is reasonable for homeowners. And there's enough in here, I am quite certain it's going to last you for a couple of years, particularly if you're using a pre-emergent herbicide out. Now, on the nozzle itself, okay, and it does a pretty good job. You'll need to twist. You'll get it. You'll twist this in there and it'll be fine. I will leave this on my Amazon storefront. I have an Amazon storefront where I have herbicides, fungicides. I have a fungicide video out. I've got all the fungicides, and basically all my videos I have an Amazon storefront. I don't care where you buy it, but it gives you some guidance on at least what works for me and what I like, and on Amazon. And it's a national distributor, so I don't have to worry about too much about where, so if you use a regional, at least it can get to everybody in the video, except for my Australian and European folks who watch the video every now and again. I'll hear from you guys. It's nice to hear from you. Anyway, but you can check it out on my Amazon storefront. So, but you can go out and spot treat with this, and it will do a very good job. Now, on Dallisgrass, you will probably need to, particularly mature Dallisgrass, you'll give it a little squirt. Going back to what I was saying on the nozzle, there is a mist nozzle and there is a jet nozzle. I'm not too crazy about the jet nozzle, and this is why I don't like spot treatment too much, because you have a tendency to want to and soak it. And I've seen this a lot, where folks have went out, spot treated in their yard, soaked it, put too much out, and it killed that area. So I just give it a brief mist, something like this, just and be done with it and move on about your life. Now, Dallisgrass, you're going to have to put it out once and then follow up 3 weeks later and put it out, and it will turn it white as a sheet. It's actually pretty cool, because what it does, it actually inhibits the photosynthesis, and it actually starves the plant. That's how it works. It's very similar to mesotrione, which I talk about in many of the videos, particularly seeding videos. Now, as far as seeding, you can put this out prior to seeding. You cannot put it out after seeding. So that gives you a heads up if you're going to go out, particularly if you're looking at putting this out in September. You can put it out prior to seeding, day of seeding, but past that you have to wait. They said on the label 28 days, and I'm kind of questioning that, because if you have bluegrass, and just give you a heads up, if you have bluegrass and it germinates in 21 days, and it says put this out 28 days later, or even the Pilex label, you're putting on new seedlings. So I kind of question why they say that. That's what the label says. I would be a little weary of putting it out on seedlings. Ryegrass, you can probably get away with it. Kentucky bluegrass, I will say they do on Pilex itself. Not necessarily this, but I'm just giving you I'm giving you a little bit of information on trypanosome in general. It can go out a little higher rates on bluegrass, so maybe that's why. But I would be very careful putting it out on any new seedlings until they are mowed at least twice. That's generally the rule of thumb on herbicides after you've seeded, if you guys are in that particular situation. So a few other things I'll throw out there because I'm really interested in this. And I wanted to get this video out there, and I didn't want to spray it on ground ivy and clover and a number of other broadleaf weeds. Get to why that's important here in a second. And then wait two more weeks. So you guys really need this information right now because we're in that area where quinachlorote's not going to do a whole heck of a lot of good. If you look at the Pilex label, they're again same active ingredient. Pilex also is labeled for clover, ground ivy, etc. And I noticed on the Roundup product, the Crabgrass Destroyer is only for crabgrass control. My suspicion is if you have ground ivy and a lot of these broadleaf weeds, and I'll take a screenshot of the Pylex label as far as broadleaf weeds, you can check that out. You can probably put it on that too and probably get some control out of it. And there again, you're putting it on, I don't think it's an off-label rate, I don't think, but you know, it's on grass. Also be careful on bermudagrass with this. This technically, Pylex can control bermudagrass if you mix it with a triclopyr ester. So I don't know if you can go out with this product and spot treat bermudagrass and then put a triclopyr ester out and that would help you with bermudagrass. My suspicion is it is, so be a little careful on bermudagrass with this. In fact, Pylex is only labeled for centipede. It will inhibit, for lack of a better word, or harm the rest of the warm season grasses. It's very safe for cool season grasses. So just giving you guys kind of heads up with this active ingredient. I'm not too crazy about the labels on some of these homeowner products because I understand they're trying to make things simple, but that's usually why if I look at a product that is in Lowe's, I try to also look at the same active ingredient on a, I don't know, commercial product and try to get a vibe for what is going on and give you guys some guidance. But in this case, you may actually get with the Crabgrass Destroyer, you may, if you have some ground ivy or some clover, you could probably shoot on that in cool season grasses and give that a shot. So just more stuff. Anyway, I'm agronomist Greg Phillips. I hope this helps you. Please like and subscribe. I have more videos coming up. I'm going to do, I don't know, a few of them. I think I'm going to do a midsummer iron video. I actually did an iron video last year if you guys want to check that out. I know that's a hot topic on this time of year. You're trying to keep your grass green. And I have an overseeding video for those of you who are really struggling this year. So check out the channel. I'm going to leave a few links to the disease and the wetting agent video here at the end. You definitely need those this time of year. And anyway, appreciate you watching.